It's build review time, so stay tuned for some good info. Rich here from the rcnetwork.com, and today it's time to do the build review on the brand new Tekno ET410.2. Now, of course, that is Tekno's newest 1/10 scale 4-wheel drive competition Truggy. Now, if you haven't already done so, please check out my unbox video of the ET410.2. I go over everything that comes inside of the box, also some differences between this model and the previous gen, the ET410. As with all my videos, anything I mention in my videos, I'll have a link down in the video description so you can check those items out for yourself. In this video, we'll be going over what tools are needed to assemble the kit, what fluids are needed, how my kit assembled, including specifics in the owner's manual, what parts are left over, including additional tuning parts, what is needed to complete this kit into a full running RC, and my overall thoughts of this ET410.2 kit. This video is brought to you by the Ridge Wallet. It's light, sleek, and industrial. It doesn't fold or awkwardly bulge in your back pocket, and it seriously changed my whole pocket situation. I've moved from carrying my wallet in my back pocket up to my front pocket now. Most people are still using wallets designed in the 90s, carrying around old receipts, gift cards, hotel keys, and just an unorganized mess. The perfect match for one of those folded up wallets is one of these. Yeah, are you carrying one of these things? Yeah, I don't think so. 2020 called, and it's time to match your wallet to your phone. The Ridge Wallet holds up to 12 cards, plus there's room for cash. There's over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber that I chose, and even burnt titanium. I really love it so far, but don't take my word for it. Check out their 30,000 5-star reviews, and I'll have a link down in the video description straight over to the Ridge Wallet, as well as a discount code you can take advantage of. Alright, so the big questions: what are the actual changes between the ET410 and the ET410.2? Well, it sums up into some basic categories, including the 3.5mm inner hinge pins. So you get pretty much all new hinge pin braces, inserts, and pins. So everything has changed, and the durability has increased quite a bit just with that 0.5 millimeter. The 410.2 is also running a forward rear shock now that we saw back in the EB410.2, making this a very stable and highly tunable platform with those front mounted shocks. One of the biggest changes were the front spindle arms, adding carbon fiber to the build. We haven't seen that from a Tekno 410 vehicle before. First time carbon has been used, and these are highly tunable now for both controlling your bump steer and also the Ackerman effect. We haven't seen that in the 410.2, the EB version. This is the first time we've seen that from Tekno. And of course, the rear hubs have changed, giving us that roll center adjustment that we found in the EB410.2. So those are the biggest changes, along with a bunch of other minor ones that we saw in the EB410.2 trickling down to the ET here. Having the right tools makes the build go so easy, including a 1.5, 2.0, and 2.5mm hex driver, a 5.5 and 7.0 nut driver, a good sharp hobby knife and body reamer, some shears to trim off items from trees, 4mm and 5mm open end turnbuckle wrenches, and some good needle nose pliers. A couple of supplement tools that helped the build go even easier are specifically the Tekno shock shaft pliers and 17mm wheel wrench. Those help out building the shocks. Also a 3.5mm arm reamer. More on that a little bit later. Included in the kit are all of the needed fluids, including 30,000 and 15,000 diff fluid, 450 weight CST oil for the shocks, some thread lock, and some black grease. Supplement items that would help the build even more would be chapstick for building the turnbuckles and some Premier Blue O-ring grease for building the cartridges on the shocks. Parts left over in the kit are all of the pills for the A, B, C, and D block. You do have the black pills for adjusting roll center on the rear hubs, 2 motor bolts when you install your motor, a 23 and 24 tooth splined servo horn. I installed the 25, and some Velcro for when installing your body. A handy supplement bag was included, and it has a 5mm riser for the wing, both 2mm and 1mm rear diff shims, some additional spacers for the spindle spindle arms, the owl head for when you're mounting a carbon fiber shock tower, additional pills for the rear chassis brace if you use the diff shims, and some extra parts for your sway bars. The ET410.2 assembles just like all Teknos. Very easy, well thought out, with exceptional parts and fitment, and above average directions from the owner's manual. When you open up bag A, all of the parts are used in the first few steps, then you move on to opening bag B. The differentials were very similar to the original ET, running 30,000 front, 30,000 center, and 15,000 rear. The differentials are quite large for a 1/10 scale. Tekno gives great advice throughout the manual, so definitely read them. As stated here, do not over tighten the screws going into the diff cups. The steering rack and assembly took on the updates found in the EB410.2, making it more robust and durable with slightly refined performance. The diff cases appear to be the same, but knowing Tekno, they've improved them as well as giving us the most durable parts available. The trapdoor on the bottom is quite genius and is a carryover from the original EB. The diff cases went together great, and remember to back off the screws a quarter turn as stated in the manual. All of the hinge pin braces have been updated to the EB410.2s with the HD model number. They're all made from 7075 aluminum and machined as you would expect. All of the arms now take 3.5mm inner hinge pins as we saw in the EB410.2, thus ensuring even more durability. Tekno's arms should be an industry standard for durability as well as being nearly solid, especially on the bottom. The rear hubs give the adjustable roll center we found in the EB410.2 with the additional pills on the bottom of the hubs. Did you see my mistake there? I found out later while dropping in the pen. The rear camber plate is sandwiched between the tower and the new one-piece wing mount. With the rear all assembled now, you can see the addition of the forward mounted shock position, the new hubs, and the forward mounted sway bar. Moving to the front, the 3.5mm pins continue as well as the updated HD hinge pin braces from the EB410.2. I did find that I needed to slightly ream the 3.5mm holes on the arms, probably not a necessity, but I had some slight friction. The most notable item on the ET410.2 versus the EB are the new carbon fiber spindle arms, as they play a part in controlling the Ackerman effect as well as bump steer. Tekno does a great job of explaining these items later in the manual, as well as spindle arm compatibility with certain wheels, whether you're running stadium truck wheels or SCT. The ET410.2 comes stock with the D version, which is the most versatile option, and in the supplement bag you'll find additional spacers. The kingpin screws now have an additional machining to accept the grub screw, but as always I would suggest pre-tapping the kingpin screws into the hub as to not damage the holes when adding the spindle carriers. The turnbuckles appear to be unchanged and use a 4mm and 5mm wrench to assemble. Tekno does a great job of describing how to build them. I love that Tekno advises using chapstick for the assembly. I've done that for years. Just like we found in the original ET, the key chassis continues locking into the A block. Just remember to loosen it prior to adding the front clip to the chassis. Now, with most of the bags out of the way, the ET is taking form. The drivetrain is very smooth and spins freely. As a side note, I always build shocks last. The front guards, battery tray, included fan mount, and braces are all unchanged from the original ET. The shock build is quite familiar, although the spring rates and pistons have changed. The fronts are using 1.1 5-hole pistons with green springs, and the rears are using 1.2 5-hole pistons with red springs. A universal oil for both front and rear is 450 CST. The cartridges are the updated version running an X-ring, spacer, and X-ring. I found running the Premier Blue O-ring grease quite beneficial. One change was adding a bump stop on the shocks between the shock body and the bottom eyelet. The front gets 1 and the rear gets 2, unless you're running SCT wheels and tires. I built my shocks as to the owner's manual spec with 0 rebound and emulsion style. Tekno does a great job of explaining this better than any other manufacturer. So overall, the ET410.2 was just phenomenal to build. The parts fitment, the quality of the parts, everything was included in the build here, and it just assembled perfectly, as you would expect with any Tekno vehicle. To finish off the build, you'll need a motor and ESC, a steering servo and shorty battery, a radio and receiver, either Team Associated Stadium truck wheels and tires, or Traxxas / 4x4 SCT wheels and tires, and finally polycarbonate paint. But stay tuned, I'll have a full build reveal that'll show everything I put into my build and all of the specifics of those items. So what are my overall thoughts of the brand new ET410.2 from Tekno is I actually love it. I love the fact that there's a competing nature between the EB410 and the ET410. And originally when the ET410 was released almost 2 years ago, we saw some features in that we didn't see in the EB. Now with the EB410.2 out, we're seeing even newer features in the ET lineup now that we didn't see in the EB. And I think it makes for a better vehicle overall. Now make no mistake, the ET410 needed some upgrades. It needed the larger hinge pins that everyone kind of cried for. Those were definitely needed because people were doing more with this than they were with their EB. Now also the front mounted shocks was just crucial for the design and the tunability of it, and Tekno has now given that to us as well. But we're also seeing new improvements like those front spindle arms. That's something we didn't see in the EB410.2, but we do see it now in the ET. And it's something that can be carried over to the EB if you choose to do so. But overall, the ET410.2 is a great vehicle, and it's going to provide even better driving characteristics than the original ET410. Well guys, that is my full build review of the brand new ET410.2. I can't wait to get electronics installed, add some wheels and tires, add some fresh paint to that body, and get this thing out on the track. Well guys, please stay tuned for my build reveal. That'll be up here very shortly. But as always, if you like this video, hit the like button. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you'll be alerted every time I upload a video. And finally, my name is Rich. Thanks for watching.